Before we get started with today's episode, I would just like to thank everybody who's listening today and who has been listening or who will listen tomorrow whenever they discover this episode. Today is November 14th, 2018. It was 2014 on this very date when I launched the Circle of Trust. At that moment, I had absolutely no clue if people would pay and support for podcasting. But for 4 years, this has been my number one source of income. This has been my career, and I've been able to live a really, really nice life from doing it. So I thank all of you for being supporters, and not just the bonus content, not just the perks that are behind the archive of now over 860 episodes, but for being a supporter in the idea of adventures in design, and that this space is worth something to you. Whether it's the companionship, the learning, or the laughing, I'm just happy to show up each and every day as my job to service you, my listener, with a fun couple of hours to get you through your workday. We've done it all. Plane rides, walking the dog, travel the globe, late night shifts, early mornings, commutes. We've done it all, and we'll continue to do it together. Thank you so much for being a member of the Circle of Trust. Thank you for being my partner in this wild endeavor. And thank you for making history and being the first people to ever understand that podcasting, like every other form of media, is worth something. It is not something that should be for free. You've seen single-handedly the value in paying someone to do this job and showing up and creating what I hope you find to be excellent content. So thank you for being a supporter. Thank you for being my partner. What do you say we get started with today's episode and kick off year 5 of the Circle of Trust?
You're listening to the AID Network.
But Charlie Brown, it's Thanksgiving.
What's that got to do with anything?
Is this what you call a Thanksgiving Day dinner? Did we come across town for this? We're supposed to be served a real Thanksgiving dinner.
Now wait a minute, sir. Did he invite you here to dinner? Or did you invite yourself and us too?
Gee, I never thought of it like that.
Have cooking utensils will travel.
I don't feel bad for myself. I just feel bad because I ruined everyone's Thanksgiving.
I love a challenge, and this sure as heck looks like one. You never had Grandma's sweet potatoes.
This is true.
A cup of butter, a cup of brown sugar, and some marshmallows.
I'm starting to like them already.
And now, for the piece de resistance, pumpkin pie.
Skip the piece of resistance, just give me a piece of pie.
Giving is more than eating, Chuck. You heard what Linus was saying out there. Those early pilgrims were thankful for what had happened to them. And we should be thankful too. We should just be thankful for being together.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us this week. I hope that you guys are having a great week, getting all geared up for the big holiday, and I hope next week you've got several days off, if not the entire week. Wouldn't that be great just to blow it all off? Oh, I wish I could. Designer Con is coming to town this weekend here in Southern California. I got a packed weekend of hanging out, interviewing folks, going to Disneyland, showing people all around, giving them the tour of what makes our home here so damn good. On the show today, one of the most likable, most lovable guest in the history of Adventures in Design. I knew Jim from the world of Print Mafia. And in fact, the first time that I ever walked into a gig poster show, the first booth that I walked right up to was the Print Mafia booth. And I saw that they were from Kentucky. At the time, I was living in upstate New York. And the fact that they were doing all of this, and they were from Kentucky, and Bowling Green at that. I mean, I was at least from Louisville. Louisville's got class. It's a real city. Lexington, that's a bit of a stretch. But Bowling Green, get out of here. If you could do this work from Bowling Green, I feel like you could do it from anywhere. I mean, after all, this is a town that's known for a Corvette museum and a third-tier college. But it's also known to be the home of Jim Maddison, half of Print Mafia. Folks I would come to love and learn so much from. But when you have somebody that you really look up to, often in life there can be a pivot when you can be a teacher to that person. And Jim Maddison, even though he was first to get a skateboard, first to listen to punk rock, first to drop in, first to flood, push and pull and make gig posters, he paid the price really of being first isn't always the best. And it always doesn't make you the winner. And in fact, sometimes some of us, including myself, we can be a little bit too ahead of the curve, a little bit too quick to get to something before society does. And what I mean by that is that if you're the first to get really good at gig posters, or the first to get good at building websites, or the first to turn a podcast into a job, sometimes, if not executed properly, you can get good, you can get there early, and you can plant your flag. But while you're struggling and fighting to turn it into a business, waiting for society to catch up with you, sometimes the struggle just becomes real and you exhaust yourself. And by the time that the world is ready for your flavor of music, the band, it's already broken up because it's just hard to create for a living. It's hard to let your art, your passion, also double as your profitability and the way that you earn in this world. It's a complete struggle, and you know it, and I know it, and everybody else that's ever attempted to do it knows that every little victory is a complete thing that you need to stop and celebrate, because sometimes it just feels like the victories are far apart because it's a difficult world to live in. It's a difficult world to be a creative. Everything's getting more expensive and clients want to pay less because there's more of us. So Jim Maddison gave inspiration in the way of, hey, this is how you can make artwork. This is how you can be punk and do it your own way. But when he came on the show back in 2016 with his partner Connie, it was absolutely the most real episode that Adventures in Design, a show that prides itself on being real, it was the most real the show had ever been, because Jim and Connie, quite honestly, were at the end of their rope. They had been partners together at that moment, I believe, for very close to 20 years, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And at the end of 20 years, their relationship was broken. And they wanted to do it on Adventures in Design. So in a little hotel room in Louisville, Kentucky, I sat down with the two of them and we talked out where things went right, how they built their legacy, where things started to go wrong, and which way they wanted to go from that moment. AID 439, Print Mafia, The Intervention. Hands down, one of the best episodes ever recorded, sitting in the archives for Circle of Trust members. It literally shows that hard work and hard work alone is not going to save you. It's not going to build your dreams. There's a thing that we all like to ignore and I like to shoot down. I don't know if it's luck as much as it is timing. But if what you're doing is ahead of the curve and it doesn't line up with the world, sometimes all the talent, all the struggle, all the late nights, all the burning the candle at both ends, sometimes it just doesn't save you. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we found our hero in that moment of exhaustion, of losing his business partner, at a moment when he told us that he literally had about $200 to his name. Not in his pocket, not in his checkbook, $200 total. And this is not for lack of trying. You couldn't work harder than Jim Maddison had. In fact, if you ever get to meet him, you can look at the wear and tear that printing has taken on his body, the constant pulling, the crouching over, the leaning over. You can see that he has given his human to his art. And to see that it just statistically doesn't always work out for everybody. That was a hard interview to do. It was a hard room to sit in as somebody's friend that you care about. And then when it went out to the Circle of Trust and to all the listeners of Adventures in Design, it was a wake-up call long before there was a wake-up call. I mean, it literally made so many people evaluate, who am I? What am I doing? Am I on this path? Is Jim the ghost of Christmas future? Is this what I'm headed toward? And his honesty and bravery in that matter was fantastic. And then I followed up with, what if we followed Jim for a year to put his life back together? And months later, once again in a hotel room, this time down in the Bowling Green area, I believe we're in Frankfort or someplace in that part of Kentucky, we did another interview. And I had to make a judgment call of, is telling Jim's story really educating my audience on how to better themselves, on how to be better with their money, be better with their career, be better with their blind faith, and that the dream will always, this shiny dream will always save you, right? Like that if you just work hard and you just believe in the work, that it's going to get you where you want to go. And ultimately, I made a decision that it was exploitive. That if I interview Jim once a month on how much money do you have in your savings account? How did you spend your money this month? What did you do? It was exploitive. It would have been taking somebody at a lost part in their life and giving them an added pressure, giving them too many voices. It was something that literally as a man, as an adult, he had to figure out on his own. And I stand by that decision. It would have not been good to turn this struggle into a show. And maybe that's why I won't be successful, because I don't have that Hollywood pounce on anything that smells like red meat for success, anything that smells like downloads, and anything that smells like it could go viral. Maybe that's why I will always be at this level of success and not like a Hollywood exec superstar, because I'm just not going to rip apart somebody's life to entertain somebody at home. It's just not how I'm wired. I'm not going to do that to my friend. So we parted ways. Jim left on his own, now without Connie as his partner, now with, kind of in the world on his own, trying to figure out what was next, going back to work, kind of slowly each day, learning how to not give up on his dream, but maybe dilute it, figure out what does the dream actually look like. Maybe it's not as shiny and bright as we thought it would be. And in that moment, he said, hey, I want to come back on. I want to talk to you. Something big's happened in my life. Now with Jim Maddison, there is no telling what this could have been. But on May 1st, 2017, we released an episode where Jim Maddison, a lifelong punk rocker, a guy that loves skulls, Draculas, and devils, a guy that had taken artwork of Jesus and put him in a spacesuit, sent him to the moon and back. His breaking news was that Jim had found Jesus. And so, hey, friend, if that's what you're into, God bless you. Literally, God bless you. That's when that term actually makes sense. I'm envious of religion. I'd never make fun of your religion. Whatever gets you through the day, whatever brings you peace and happiness, as long as you're not hurting anybody else or discriminating anyone else, I'm really happy for you. And in fact, I'm envious of you. But when I talked to Jim, I did what I think a good friend does and just said, whoa, pump the brakes here, Jesus McGee. Are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure this is what you're ready for, and not just, you've gotten to a moment in life where you feel so lost that it just feels like an easy path out? I still, this day, in my heart, my intentions were to be a good friend. A good friend always says, let's check yourself before you wreck yourself. And just because it went completely against what the man had always stood for, I just want to say, hey, are you sure this isn't to pick up a girl? Are you sure this isn't an easy solution because you feel lost? Are you sure that you really feel the love of Jesus Christ in your heart? I was just asking him to validate his feelings and just give it a gut check like I would do for any of my friends, and like I would hope that my friends would do for me. And one of the things I love about my wife is that she calls me out. She kicks the tires on my dreams and my ambitions and says, but what are you really trying to accomplish here? And even though it makes me frustrated and I do the Charlie Brown head down, slow walk back to my office with my tail between my legs feeling defeated, often she's right. She calls my bluff. She sees it the way it is. And when I know that I want to fight back and I don't want a Charlie Brown back to my office, that's when I know that I really believe in something. That's when I know that that thing is right for me. When you're ready to fight, you know in your heart that it feels right. Bit of an amateur poet. But Jim didn't take it that way. And that was the last time that we spoke. And I lost a listener. I lost a subscriber. I lost an active member of the AID universe. And regardless of what he says, I felt like I lost a friend. Not that he hated me, not that he still didn't have love in his heart for me, and not that he didn't still respect me, but there was a distance that was between us. And one of the things I was excited about doing this week was bringing old friends back to the show. Because after all the holidays, it's not about just being with the ones that we love, that we see all the time. It's about seeing the distant family, the folks that have moved away, or circumstance and life has just put space between us. So when I thought about this week, Jim Maddison was one of the very most important names to put onto the show. And why I love AID is because Jim Maddison, in the world of art, in the world of design, he's not going to be at D-Con this weekend with a big booth and people lining up to get their stuff signed by him. But to all of us, members of the Circle of Trust, listeners of Adventures in Design, to blue-collar creatives, he's a legend. He's a hero and somebody that I've loved for a very long time and take extreme pride in giving my audience the ability and the reason to care and love Jim Maddison, Print Destroyer. Friend, I hope you're enjoying Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. If you want to support the show and support your own career, head over to pengamestrong.com. My friend Greg Kerr, he's got an amazing business taking care of so many different people that you know in the world of art and music, helping them create pens for their business. Enamel pens are a great thing to get into. If you are a listener of AID, you can get 100 two-color black dye soft enamel pens for just $210. No hidden fees, no shipping, just literally $210. You want to do an original die cut shape, bump it up to $255. Either way, you're at $2.10, $2.55 per product. These things sell for $10. There's plenty of room, plenty of margin to give these away or to sell them and to make a sweet, sweet profit. So if you want to support your career and you want to support Adventures in Design, you want to do two things at once, want to make a little passive income, head over to pengamestrong.com. Tell them you're a listener of Adventures in Design. Tell them that Bricky sent you, and you will get our discount. And at pengamestrong.com, you will never pay any hidden fees or shipping fees. The price you see on the website at pengamestrong.com, that's the price that you pay. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we get started with part 3 of Old Friends Come Home Week? I'm proud to announce Jim Maddison has found his way back to Adventures in Design just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday.
It's a quiet celebration with family and friends. A time for counting blessings, a time to make amends. There's a feeling all around you. You can hold it in your hands and pass it round the table for all to understand. Though tomorrow may take us far away, let's stick together now. Let's find a way somehow to feel Thanksgiving every day.
Welcome to Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. Welcome home, friends.
Oh, eat a piece of pie for me.
Jim Maddison,
How you doing?
how are you, brother? Welcome back. It's Old Friends Come Home to Adventures in Design Week. And who's our oldest friend? Jim Maddison, a hero, a legend, a little hobbit from Kentucky.
Oh my gosh.
Whose back is slowly turning him into a roly-poly. But that doesn't stop him because he loves the flood, he loves the pool, and he loves the bleed for the print. Jim Maddison, my hero. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fucking great. Am I allowed to curse in front of you? I know you're one of them fancy folks.
Yes. Yeah.
Ladies and
You
gentlemen,
can curse.
you don't know this, but he's wearing a seersucker suit. He looks like a little Colonel Sanders. Man, dude, how have you been?
I've been doing really, really good. How
Yeah?
you doing?
I I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't be happier. The other day, I had a headache 2 days in a row. And of course, if I have a headache 2 days in a row, I'm like, there's a tumor behind my eye.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be dead soon. That's just how I work. And I thought about it. I'm like, if I did die tomorrow, the last 5 years have just been a dream. Like it literally, maybe the guy in Buffalo is falling off of a ladder and he's getting ready to hit his head on the ground. And this last 5 years has just been a dream. Like I have nothing to complain about. How about you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. A lot of the same. I'm trying to think. I'm in a really good spot.
That's great.
And I feel the same way.
Okay, so let's talk about your really good spot. You are, let's do some Jim Madison life math. You are back to working at the big, massive silkscreen shop, right?
Yes.
How many hours they have you for?
I'm working 40 hours. 40 hours plus. Yeah.
Got a straight job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm working.
You go there Monday through Friday.
Yep.
But are you still getting up pre-work, burning screens, washing out screens? Like, are you still doing that deal?
Well, I've moved from, like that print shop was at my mom's house. That's where I was living.
The print cabin.
Yes. So I've moved away from there. So a lot has changed.
Okay.
I'm still doing that, but more after work.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the print cabin is still at mom's. You're just living elsewhere.
Yes.
Are you living with this new lady friend?
Yes.
Oh. Are you married?
I am married.
Jim, when did you get married?
August 18th, I think.
Wow.
I think it was August 18th. Yeah.
Wow, man. You know the rule. Don't let a good woman slip between your fingers.
Yeah, and that's a whole story right there.
Yeah, So meeting her has really, let's go back to the hotel room when we were depleted on funds and depleted on fun. You were in a bit of a rough spot. And since then, and her coming into your life, you've kind of leveled out a bit.
Yes. Yeah, I have. Well, there's been a lot of, the last time I was on, that's when I said, I'm getting ready to get baptized. Well, see, I'm trying, it's been so long since we've talked. Okay, so, I did not marry, when we talked at the hotel.
Yep.
Man, I forgot. Okay, we talked at the hotel, right?
Yep.
And then we talked face-to-face in October after that.
Yes. We talked in the hotel, and then we did one of these because you're like,
I'm sorry. Yes.
You found God, and you wanted to bring it over to the show, and I talked to you, and I think I rubbed you the wrong way, and I just want to tell you what my intent was.
Okay.
My intent was, one, I got to always keep it entertaining for people at home that are working. Yeah. And two, I was just like, are you sure about this God thing? Are you sure that it's not something to impress a girl? Are you sure? I was basically just being like, hey, buddy, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I just want to make sure that you're right and that you've thought this all through. I feel like that's what a good friend does. But ever since you and I had that conversation, I used to have this little friend named Jim Madison that would like everything as soon as it went up, comment on every post, circle of trust, tell every guest, I heard you on AID, you're amazing, COT, and buddy, you just you disappeared on me.
I did disappear. But here's the deal. It's nothing that you did or that interview or any of that stuff, of that.
Okay.
I did go through a lot of changes. And it also, work kind of changed a lot. So listening to podcasts and stuff at work has been really frustrating.
Yeah.
And then this is how far I'm behind. The last episode I listened to was, I have not listened to the Shepherd Ferry episode. That's how long it's been. Okay. But yeah. So then when I was going to get back, when I was like, okay, man, I got to get back going.
Yeah.
Was when Hammer Time, and I can't believe, it's going to suck because I don't remember his name, the birthday party.
Oh, Tavo's birthday party when we did the mariachi band.
Yes. So that's how long it's been.
Wow.
Now, my Circle Trust did run out.
Yeah.
The reason it ran out is my card expired. So when it ran out, I tried to go back and redo it at work, and then I just got frustrated and did not rejoin.
You're out. You're out of the COT, Jim.
No, but I'm back in the COT as of today.
Nice. Well, look, dude. I mean, you don't have to listen to the show. You don't have to be a Circle of Trust member. You don't have to, be a supporter of the show. Like, first and foremost, we've always been buds.
Yes.
We've always been friends, and I don't give a fuck if you ever listen to the show again. I mean, obviously I would love for you too, and I'd love for you to be an active part of the community, but I was more worried that I had said something that had upset you, and that would mean way more to me than, fucking $9.99 a month.
Okay. Here's and I think we're a lot alike. If me and you had a problem, if I had a problem with you, we would settle it.
Yeah, I would hope so.
That's how I work. I'm not going to sit there and a lot of people said that they felt like I was under attack and because of that, but I was also new Christian. I wasn't prepared. I just work on a feeling, and I feel like my feelings are before my mouth.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. So no, I took no offense to it at all.
I mean, to anybody that would say that you're under attack is like, I genuinely care about you, and I think you're a great guy. And I was just basically like, before a friend buys a new house or gets engaged or buys a boat they don't need or buys a car or takes out a mortgage to buy a college tuition for a kid, like a real friend doesn't just like passively stand back there and go, do whatever you want, I respect. Like, a real friend is like, are you sure about this? Especially when that friend spent a lifetime of putting Satans and slayers and pentagrams and weapons on everything. You were the polar opposite of a Christian. And then you're like, U-turn. And I just wanted to be like, are you sure? Obviously, I have nothing against religion. And in fact, I'm envious of anyone who believes. I wish I could believe, but I can't. And so I'm happy for you that you found something. And look, let's fast forward. You got a steady job. You got a great woman. I'm sure a lot of the money problems have gone away. You're doing Print Mafia now, after hours, in a space where I'm sure you enjoy it a lot more because it's not do or die. Like, this has been a very good thing for you.
No, let's okay, but I don't think you realize what you just said. Like, we're not doing Print Mafia.
Well,
yes,
you will always be.
Yes.
If it's funny, it's like Connie found weed and you found Jesus.
Yeah.
But I know Connie is doing Butch and Sissy, and she's really embracing her lesbianism, the community that she's a part of, and I think that it's awesome, and I've been a big supporter, and I'm so stoked to see her find her voice and be like, fuck it, man, I'm an old G, I'm a gold star, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But if Connie were to go pick up a squeegee and make a poster, I'd be like, that's a Print Mafia poster. And same thing for you. Like, I know you're just doing Jim Madison, but in my heart, it will always look like, it will always feel like, and it'll be like, Paul McCartney is still a fucking Beatle. And I don't care what band he's playing under, like, that's a Beatle playing bass right there. That man's a Beatle, goddammit. Oh, sorry, Jim.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Man, I love you. You're one of you make me happy. You're like a mascot for life. Like, you literally make me happy. It's great to see you.
You look good, man.
Thank you, man.
You look really good.
Thank you. The California living and the healthy wife, man. She fucking kicks my ass.
I've been keeping up with you, man. I've been keeping up with you guys.
Well, so let's do this. It's old homes. It's old friends come home to AID week. I should have came up with a better name for this week. All right, so what is the day job like? Have you found peace being in the screen printing shop? Like, do you have a leadership role there? Like, what exactly are you doing 40 hours a week?
Okay, I work like 7 to 3:30.
Yeah,
Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
yeah, and then I get like a lot of overtime if I want it.
Yeah.
As far as leadership role, I haven't really taken on any more responsibility, but it's weird. Like, I'm well respected there. Like, I really know the process, and
yeah,
so,
you do. Yeah, you do.
But I still, I kind of got a little bit more of a leadership role, but I haven't really, I don't know, taken like any. Like, I have a hard time telling people what to do. I would just rather do it myself.
I'm guilty of that same thing because I do the math in my head and I go, by the time I explain to this person how to properly loaded up with the t-shirt and how you have to do the undercoat of white and then you have to really like pay attention to it and blah, blah, blah. You know what? You just go wash out screens and I'll take care of it.
Yeah. And so that's just a, it's just a personal thing, and it doesn't go over too well, and I tend, when someone messes something up, I tend to just kind of push them out of the way and take over.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work well with others. So,
okay. So you do that 40 hours a week.
Yes.
And then you do printmaking for yourself in the after hours.
Yeah.
If it's not officially Print Mafia anymore, have you come up with a new studio name? Is it just under your government name?
It's just Jim Maddison. I've kind of been going back and forth on, like, not a studio name. So now, last week I named myself Jim Maddison Print Destroyer is what I'm going to go by. But it's just, it was Jim Maddison Printmaker and Print Destroyer. Like, I was kind of doing some like stickers with both titles.
Yeah. Kind of like a skate and destroy type thing.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Connie, talking with Connie, she has all the good ideas. She was just like, look, anybody can be a printmaker, but stick with the Print Destroyer. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Jim Madison, Print Destroyer.
Yeah,
I love it.
So, yeah. So, man, everything's been really, really good. I know I want to go back, like, talking about being at peace. I am at a lot of peace. My faith has done a lot of that.
Oh, we're going to get to that in a minute. But
okay, good.
Don't worry, you're going to be under attack again. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
So when you work in the after hours and you do Jim Madison Print Destroyer,
yeah,
at this moment in your life, because you've got a straight job Monday through Friday, what are the type of projects that motivate you and excite you to not go home and hang out with your beautiful bride and, watch some Netflix or maybe read that Psalms? Love that Psalms. You want to get in there, Psalms 28, 42. Like, what makes you say, instead of going home and being Family Guy and unwinding, I want to go do more of this? Like, what sends you over to the Destroyer print cabin?
Well, I have picked up some gig poster jobs.
Oh, cool.
So I just start there because I was kind of struggling with this thing. Do I want to do this? Because it was just, it became a burden with, but then I also wanted people, I just wanted to do them. Like, I wanted to start, kind of like go to shows if I could and get back in there. I also wanted people to think that I wasn't done with that. Still relevant. It also creates good social media content, I guess,
I understand the burden part of something that you love. And if I'm hearing you right, because it's like everybody knows that you love doing this thing. But it does feel like a burden because you're an adult and you got so much life you got to live, like real life you're committed to. So I understand, if I'm hearing you right, going into doing gig posters and taking work, it's almost as if now you don't have to, should I go do this or should I not? It's now I have to go do this. I promised somebody that by Thursday there'll be a stack of Queens of the Stone Age prints, so now I have to go do it. Was that sort of the decision process and you made to take some of the decision making out of it?
Yeah. So I didn't do any gig posters for a while, and I was just concentrating on work for myself.
Yeah.
I also had my first solo art show back.
I saw that. How was
August.
that?
It went really well. This was back, not this August, but last August. It went really well.
Great.
And I was able, and I did a lot of, I'll just say Jesus prints.
Yeah.
Let's just call them Jesus prints. I did a
Call it
lot
like
of
it
Jesus
is.
stuff. Yeah. So I really enjoyed doing that. And then I did some skate stuff and it was just work for myself.
When you do Jesus prints in your style, do you find that you're able to cut through and maybe communicate with somebody other than your typical or standard Christian? Like, because you have such a different look, and your look is organically birthed from the roots of rock and roll, punk rock, and anti-culture, do you find that when you take on Jesus as a subject matter, that it goes further than, like, your glowing cross, or, Jesus with that beautiful purple robe on, he's got the little lamb and the little black kid and the little Asian kid and the little white girl? Like, do you find that you go further? Because it is very interesting that so many of the things that influence your art, you're now telling a different story with it. And I'd love to know if you find that it cuts through.
It does cut through.
That's great,
but
man.
Here's what's so interesting about like my journey to faith.
I got to, real quick. I don't want you to be under attack, but I wrote this little song for you. It goes, this little poster of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little poster of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little poster of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine all the time. Hide it under a bush. Oh, no, Jim's going to let it shine. Huh? You know that one?
You know what? Here's what's so crazy about, we're going to talk about journey to faith. I didn't have that.
You didn't grow up at VBS like me?
No.
Come on, dude. I'm old school Christian.
Yeah. See, and I'm envious of that because I just wonder how different things would be if I would have had that back then. But it's just the way God works. You know, I didn't find God till I was 47.
You know when you found God? When you were ready to find God.
Exactly.
That's how it works, buddy.
I have been in like low parts of my life, through 2 divorces and just not being a very good person at all. I was a total bastard. And I read the Bible. I went to Bible studies back then, but I didn't find God until I was questioning why I was so happy. That's how I found God. That was, it's weird. And, I was in a good relationship and I saw changes in my daughters and my youngest daughter, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And, the girl I was dating was a Christian, and she talked about prayer, and I did not become a Christian because of her, but I had to question, and the way her family was different than any family I've ever been around. And I started looking into that. That's where I found faith.
And then
all that fell apart.
That's not the woman you married?
No. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh, fuck, Jim. I fucking love you, you little Romeo.
Oh, no. That girl that you met, I did not marry.
Oh, wow.
It as soon as I don't know what happened. She's a good girl, and, best of luck to her.
Yeah, she's a great woman.
Yeah, she's awesome. But our relationship fell apart.
I have a theory. You ready for this?
What's that?
She liked that you were the bad boy. She liked that
if I had $1 for every time I heard it, I'd have like $25 right now.
Yeah, she's like, I got a little Satan on my shoulder. And then you found God. She's like, next.
Yeah. And it fell apart, and it was very hard. But I'm going to say it was very hard, but it wasn't. I learned so much. And
that's great.
I don't believe in coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. And I was just able to sit still and focus on my faith and what was going on, because I had no intention. I was very comfortable not being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intentions on being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I was, but I was never, ever really happy. Something was not connecting. Something was missing.
I believe that because you're one of those guys that I was able to have fun with you. And I always really admired your work ethic and the type of work that you did. And you and I were both birthed from punk rock and skateboarding, and we have that same anthology that that brought us to these moments in life. And so you were always kind of like like the cool older guy that I looked up to. But it was true that every time I hung out with you, I always equated it to this guy's got too much going on. But there was always an emptiness in you or a darkness in you. And then it was like we would laugh and we would cut up, but I could always just feel the energy from you was one of worry. And I didn't say this is a guy who's got an emptiness in his heart that he can't fill. I was like, this is a guy that's got way too much shit going on, and he's just, in between laughs, he's just stressed the fuck out.
Yeah, I was really stressed. And so when I found my faith, man, it just opened, everything changed.
That's great.
Everything was every sunrise, sunset was almost more than I can handle taking in. It was unbelievable. And just music, everything. And then, because like when I did artwork in, let's go way back. Okay, religion to me was always images. I would go to church, Catholic school and it was just all these Jesuses and Marys and all these statues and all this religious artwork.
They got great branding.
That was my religion.
Yeah, they got great logos.
Oh yes. I mean, it really was, but and even in college. Jesus was my main subject matter.
Yeah.
Back in college.
Yeah.
And it was, even with Print Mafia, there was a lot of Jesus stuff in our work.
Yeah, but
you know,
you always use Jesus in your artwork back in the day, pre-finding Christianity. You always use Jesus as this character, right? Like you guys loved the devil, and you loved Jesus, and you loved Mary, but you also love Dorothy and the werewolf and the Frankenstein and the Dracula. You know, like these are they're pop culture characters, and when you tinker with them, you tinker with people's emotions. So when did you start to think of Jesus as more as one of these shocking icons, you know, that's sort of the chassis of building really interesting art and getting a conversation going? Like, when did you start to think of him as a real person and not just a piece of clip art?
Okay. That would be from the very, very beginning. I felt something when I would see Jesus, like, you know, images, like, especially like Caravaggio, and like you see Jesus and he's suffering. You see these saints and they're suffering. But if you look in their suffering, you see a peace in them. Now, this I did not see until, you know, I started going back and re-looking.
Got it.
Okay. To me, Jesus was a folk hero. I felt that he had walked this earth and he was just basically a folk hero, a revolutionary, you know. I did not believe he was the Son of God because I could not wrap my head around God.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
It's a big thought. It's a real big thought, man.
It's really it's huge, and it takes that takes that leap of faith.
Yeah.
You know, I used to be like, and I'd always be like, if there is a God, show me yourself. You know, if there is Jesus, show us something to make us believe. But if that was the case, nobody would believe it. It's you got to have that leap of faith. And,
sure.
And I believe.
But here's where go ahead. But
okay,
I'm going
to start going off the rails. So I'm going to let you rein it in.
Thank you, sir.
So okay.
This is, and I really want to get. I'm totally great to talk about the religion, but I want to just backtrack a minute to the type of work that you've been doing. And so before you got into doing gig posters, you were doing art prints. You did your first ever solo show. And then what led you to get back into doing commercial work for bands and clubs?
I guess I missed just that. I missed it.
Yeah.
Is you know, plus like I want to go see shows.
Yeah.
And the way you know, Print Mafia did a lot of our work, and well, the first thing was when the Melvins come around. You know, all the Melvins posters that Print Mafia did and that I did, the last one I did, are done through the Melvins. So those are legit
official,
posters, official. Everything else I operate in a gray area
through the club.
Through the venue. So we did that Melvins poster. You know, it just feels good because you know, I go to the show. It doesn't cost anything. You know, it costs posters.
But you also go to the show not as just some dickhead that showed up because your buddy played the Melvins for you. Like, oh, you're into Nirvana? You should listen to the Melvins. You like this. You're there and you're a part of the show. Like, you're one of the people that helped make the magic that night. And people come up to you like, Jim, I love that new poster, man. Whoever thought of putting a football helmet on Jesus? That's crazy, dude. So it's like you get to go there, enjoy the rock and roll, be a part of the night, and you also get a little bit of ego stroke. I know.
Exactly.
I love it. It feels great.
Yeah. So that got me back into it, and it just seemed like there was a string of like really good shows. So I reconnected with some people, and I started doing some. And
now,
I don't know.
Were you tempted to go down the road of this little band by the name of Stryper, where they took rock and roll and put their beliefs in there? And I will sing a hymn to you. To hell with the devil. Dude, right now, whatever you're doing at home, go over to your Spotify, go over to your iTunes, look up Stryper, To Hell with the Devil. It's a great song. It's like such a great song. So, Jim, were you tempted to go the Stryper route and I'm doing a poster for a band? is this a way to spread the word, to spread the message? Can I hide a cross in the background? Can I put a JC in the cloud? Can I put that little shitty lamb walking across the front? Like, did you decide that, like, my two religions are Christ and rock and roll, and I'll keep them separate, or did you try to mix them together?
Well, I did just do a Marilyn Manson poster.
Oh.
And I thought about what am I going to do? What have we done in the past? And ended up putting a bat on it, but that's a whole nother story. But no, I believe in this. We're going to get a little bit crazy.
Go on, buddy. I'm ready to go in the trenches.
I believe God loves everyone the same.
Sure. That's
so God's in this conversation between us.
Yeah.
He's been working on me and you before we were even born.
Yep.
And it's so absurd, like even our history. It's so absurd that all the conversations we could have had when you lived just down the road.
Yep.
That now we're having now that you live across the country.
Yeah.
But I see. So no, I want to do Marilyn Manson.
Of course.
Poster. Do I want to put a Jesus on there to push my message? No, because the message is already there. So I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm just here to be nice to people, treat people with respect.
Be an ambassador.
Everything you do, and I know you've heard this before, you are so Christian, it's ridiculous. I cringe when I say that word. There's some words like Christian and blessed that I haven't got comfortable with saying.
There was a woman in my life who would pick on me. She'd go, "You're a secret Christian."
Yeah.
I was raised in the church, though. Like, look, 100% Southern Baptist Christianity, it raised me. If you listen to the show, I talk like a preacher.
Yeah.
I have all of the speech patterns, the way that I repeat things, the way that I get to an idea, the way that I don't give away the ending. I learned all of that from sitting in church going, well, if I got to be here, I'm going to study how this guy works this stage. And I've always found it to be fascinating. If I'm flipping through the channels and I see a preacher, most people can't turn it fast enough. I'm like, I want to hear how good this guy is at cutting it up. Like, there's an art form to it, and I love the art form of it. And Jim, the thing is that I wanted to believe. I really wanted to believe, but there was a fundamental problem that I had, and is that I was around a bunch of adults that all had the same story of, I was just driving my car one day, and I heard a voice, and I knew it was the Lord's, and I pulled my car over, and I said, Jesus, I'm ready to come to you. And then I had to sit there as like a 12-year-old kid and go, okay, either Jesus doesn't like me, and he's not willing to talk to me, or all these people are liars. Either way, this is a no-win situation for me. I don't want to be in a club full of liars, and I also don't want to give my blind faith to somebody that doesn't think I'm important enough to communicate with. So that was a real hard break off from me.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I completely respect it, and I this is where I lose people, but we live in a world where it's like, be nice to everyone. But it's okay to shit on some people because they're the majority. And I do not let people come on my show and totally bash God or Christianity or faith, because I would not let them do that to Muslims or to Jewish folks. I mean, I'm the biggest fan of Hanukkah. I'm always trying to get the Hanukkah celebrations going on the show. Like, if you're going to respect religion, you have to take an oath to respect all of them. And you can't be like, hey man, everybody gets a fair share, but fucking God, what a joke that is. It's like, no man, you can't do that. And I let a little bit of it slide because everybody should be able to get their balls bust, but I will not let somebody come on here and just straight out bash Christianity, because I wouldn't let them do that against any race, any sex, any gender. Like, everybody gets a little bit of ball busting, but I would never let anybody come on and just trash it. And unfortunately, a lot of people do think that it's okay to trash it, and it always offends me.
Yeah.
Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying today's show with Jim Madison, Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. And I also would like to thank you that if you're a person that's not of religious belief, if you've made it this far, I respect you. Because there are some people that when others talk about their faith, it just completely shuts them down. And I'm curious about all people, all beliefs, all faiths. That's why I have this job, a natural curiosity on how other people feel, what sort of peace they've made with themselves to exist in this world, to get things done, and just get a step closer to whatever their dream or fantasy of how living should look like. So if you've made it this far and you're not a person of faith, thank you. Thank you for being open-minded and understanding and literally treating somebody else with the respect that you would only hope that you would be treated with. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you want to hear the entire episode, make sure you sign up today over at AID.network. Become a member of the Circle of Trust, where not only do you support the bonus content, but you support the whole damn show. After it fades down today, we've still got 20 more minutes. Sorry, that's wrong. 25 more minutes with Jim Madison, where he gives everybody at home, since he is sort of the old guy in the room that knows a little bit more, crazy Uncle Jim, I say, tell the audience, what are 3 skate decks that they can Google, that they can look up, that really inspired you? And we don't stop there. What are 3 crucial albums for a man of your time period when it wasn't so easy to go over to Spotify and find all the best music? What are 3 albums that are monumental that got you on the course of your life? I asked Jim what he's thankful for. And then, because Jim is this guy, we make adventures in design history. What has not been done on the AID airwaves after 859 episodes? Approximately 2,400 hours of recorded time. What is one thing that we just haven't done yet? Well, we do it today, and we do it for members of the Circle of Trust. Make sure you sign up at AID.network and become a supporter of the show. And speaking of supporting the show, head over to jackprince.com/Circle of Trust, where my friends, the best in printmaking, will help you create whatever you need to create. You got a small business, a small brand, or you got a client that needs some printing done, always head over to Jack Prince. Go to jackprince.com/Circle of Trust. You can get some work done for your clients with the discount you get, no cost of shipping. There's plenty of room for you to mark up a margin as the middleman. One of the first things I did with my career is I designed t-shirts. I formed a great relationship with a printer. So every time my clients needed their t-shirts reprinted, I was also getting paid. The amount of money I made for designing those shirts, very small. The amount of money I made every time they got reprinted year after year after year, very big. If you want to get your own royalties, become a broker in printing. Make sure that you follow the art as long as you can. Make your client fight you away from what you've created for them, because the longer you can stay tethered to it, the longer you can make money. There's your pro tip of the day. What do you say we get into part 2? I got a little bit more for all you free listeners, about 30 more minutes. But if you want to hear the entire hour that we have left, make sure you become a subscriber over at AID.network. And I can't urge enough. It's not just to hear the second part of today's show, because you can, but it's to unlock our archive of over 860 of these episodes, as well as all of the Jim Madison interviews before. You can hear him from the early days of Print Mafia, to when he decided to call it quits, to the fallout that he and I had, his entire history as a creative. He's just one of many people, one of many characters in the AID universe that you can fall in love with by listening to all their episodes and getting to know them and getting to learn from them. Sign up today at AID.network. Sorry, I got distracted. A plane was flying by my window very close. Not something I see often. I normally see a squirrel or a cat go by, not a plane. It's okay. It's going upward. Sign up today at AID.network. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get into part 2. And there's a bit more for you free listeners, but there's a lot more for members of the Circle of Trust.
Yeah, that's a tough, because see, I had those same feelings like you have.
Yeah.
And man, I just don't, and I have not experienced that yet. Like, and there are some, like, I believe everybody can paint themselves in a box, right? Like,
sure.
Like, but even religious people, especially, and that's very unfortunate. But like, I like when people's boxes start to break down.
Yeah,
because that's where the light comes in.
There
as
you
corny
go.
as that sounds, that's where I see some people, and I've experienced some things in church where, especially like homosexuality is being spoken, I can see people getting very uncomfortable, and that's what I like to see. I love buzz people's balls.
How do you deal with homosexuality and Christianity, because your lifelong best friend Connie is, an outwardly gay woman. Her and Stacy are beautiful love that they have, and you're the straight guy married 3 times.
Exactly.
They fucking showed you a thing or two about being in love.
Yeah,
and I believe that. Tell me if I needed to stop here and delete this, but your daughter's gay, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how is the church evolving? Because as time goes on, you have to realize things are different. We don't stone people in the streets anymore. We don't hang a man on a cross anymore.
Yeah.
So is there more tolerance towards homosexuality in the church? Because I know that you're not homophobic. You're the farthest thing from it. You love everyone.
No, not at all. Not at all. And there's a reason why, and I'm trying to figure it out, why it was my time to become a Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is yet. I know I want to spend the rest of my life spreading the good news.
Yeah, that's great.
All these are corny terms. And the good news is you're loved. And I feel, and these are my belief, that everyone deserves to be loved. I don't care what you believe. What you believe, your sex, any of that stuff, what religion you are, none of that matters. Just treat people as people. To me, God is the ultimate human being. And when I say ultimate human being, he has been irrational. He has lashed out, but he has also loved more than anyone. And as I grow as a father,
yeah,
I see that. I feel that when I'm reading the Bible, which is taking me. I will probably. Okay, I'm going to finish it one day. It's not going to be anytime soon.
It's a hard thing to read, man. It's written like in Carnival, like Carney Double Talk. It's really hard to figure out what the hell's going on.
It's hard to read. It's hard for me, and it would be hard for you to read too with our disabilities.
Yeah.
But it is unreal what is in that book.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds crazy. It seems crazy coming out of my mouth, but it is. There is so much good stuff in there. So David and Goliath.
Sure.
If you read it in there, if you read the text, it is the best story ever.
It's insane how many the Bible is sort of the source material for so many themes that we've seen time and time again in cinema and television and lyrics and songs. Like, it really does have a little bit of everything inside of it. Like it's a pretty wild thing to think that it exists. Same with the Torah, that there's these documents that we have in the Quran that it's like one person somehow told another person. Man invents the printing press. They get it down. They revise it. They put it back together. King James comes along and gets that official licensing deal and takes it over. And then it's just like this. It's a wild thing to think that in that book, it's all of man's hopes, dreams, ambitions, and fears. And it's been man's compass since man talked to man, since we got our own spoken language. It's pretty wild when you think about religion really goes back as far as we do as an animal, and that's insane.
It is, man. It's so. It's more than I can take in sometimes.
All right, so let's do this. This is what I love about this.
I know we got off track.
No, it's
because
fine.
We were talking about. In my church that I go to, plus the church is, the church is just a building with people. I guess it's very liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Plus, when I see, like, if something's like, my pastor has a brother who is a homosexual who married another man. My pastor did the service.
Oh, so he's down.
Talked about that.
He's down.
He talked about that. Yes, he's down. Now, there are people there that aren't down, but those people that aren't down with that are there. It's not just coincidence that they're there sitting in church listening to a pastor that is talking about the things. That's where their wall is breaking down.
Got it.
And that's what we need.
Got it.
That's what everybody needs. Everybody needs to be. If you're thinking what you're thinking in your teens and 20s, what you're thinking now, something's wrong.
Yeah. And that was sort of when we had our conversation last time. Part of what I was talking with you about as someone who loves and cares for you. It was just like, hey, how do you feel about joining this club where Connie and Stacy wouldn't be welcome to walk through the door, sit next to each other, and hold hands without being ridiculed or asked to leave or picked on? Like, you're not that type of guy. You have more love in your heart than a Christian. You know what I mean? Like, you're one of the most loving, accepting people that I've ever met. You've never seen anybody that you felt was different in a bad way. And that was sort of what I wanted to be like, Jim, you know that some of the fundamental laws of the Bible go against the way that you've lived your life and the way that you've loved people. And that's just part of what I was trying to get across as a friend. And I'm glad to find that obviously you're not going to go into some hate-filled group. Jim was not one of the guys out there with the tiki torches marching, Jews will not replace us. He's not one of those guys. You obviously have found a loving Christian community that is open and accepting, and that is breaking down some of the walls and barriers that have sort of kept the church sort of antiquated for a while.
Yeah.
That's great.
What does antiquated mean?
I don't know. I hope I used it correctly.
That's a big word. You know, like my journey to faith. And I hate those words like I and my. I seem like I use that so much because I feel like it's everybody's story. You know, me coming to faith had everything to do with everything. So Connie and Stacy have everything to do with me finding God when I did. Mm-hmm. And me and Connie, I'm at our house right now recording here. Stacy's here. I'm welcomed here. Yeah. They love me.
They're your family
just as much. Yes, they're my family. Now, are they concerned? Yes. Did me and Connie have an amazing conversation about faith? Yes, we did. And where she explained things to me, but how she feels. And I don't know. Connie, it was good. It was an awesome conversation.
Connie to me will always be one of the people I look up to the most and admire the most, because Connie is a true badass, and she's one of the strongest women I've ever met. And then when you add in the fact of her sexuality, she's an old G. She was lesbian before it was cool, and when you could get into trouble for doing it. And she just has this perspective on life of, I'm going to be who I am. I'll roll with the consequences, but I will always stand up for what I believe in and always be like an ambassador of the things that I believe in. And I've learned so much about the perception of how the rest of the world sees and treats women, sees and treats gay folks, all by being Connie's friend. I learned so much through her friendship. And when the Brett Kavanaugh trial was going on and they're trying to figure out, did this man rape this woman? And if he did rape this woman, what evidence do we have? Can he be on our Supreme Court? That whole day, that weird day in American history was going down. Me and Connie are hanging out on text message. And we are talking about how hot Alyssa Milano is. We're sending each other photos of actors that we would get to play all of the people that we're watching on TV. And we're just fucking chopping it up, and we're making the best out of a real bad situation. And at the end, when they went to recess, I said, Connie, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? And she just wrote me back immediately. I could tell she didn't have to think about it. She goes, the woman always loses. And it broke my heart, but she was fucking right. Because I wrote her back with this dumb white guy ambition. I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like Dr. Ford was very credible, and Kavanaugh lost his temper, and I don't know. I feel like there's a hope here. And she was just like, no, the woman always loses. And she was right. And she was right for a reason, because she knows. She's lived it. She's been in the trenches. She knows what it looks like. So that's just one small story about how being in her world makes you learn so much about what it's like not to be you and I, white guys.
Yeah.
White straight guys who have had a pretty good run on just, living and getting privileges that we're not even aware of. All right, so let's do this for a second, Jim.
Okay.
This is what I love about you being on, by the way. This is old friends come home to AID week. Can 5 old friends make their way back to Adventures in Design before Thanksgiving? And you're representing that crazy old uncle, like, Uncle Jim's talking about Jesus again. We know
Yeah.
this upsets everybody at the table. He's doing it again. So my question for you is, can you and I talk now for like 30 minutes about art, punk rock, and skateboarding and
Yeah.
leave faith on the table?
Thank goodness.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be one of
Yes,
those
it's
guys who be like, just so you know, the 900 was made possible because God, he blew Tony Hawk just a little bit so he could get around that extra 45 degrees.
No, I can park it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Have you seen the film Mid-90s?
No, I want to, but also in the mid-90s, I thought skateboarding sucked back then.
It was a transitional time when skateboarding stopped being rock and roll and started being hip hop. And it really did change the attitude of the sport. It changed the way the sport was, street skating became so technical. It was hard to even figure out what the tricks were. So for you, it was far from your heyday. For me, it was kind of the moment also when I got a driver's license, I lost my virginity, and, I got into punk rock. So I had a foot in it during the mid-90s, but it definitely was a transitional moment. And I kind of, for a long time, I resented hip-hop because I felt like it broke skateboarding. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting that sentence out.
Yeah, I felt the same. I felt the same way. Of course, I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah.
And it was a different kind of skateboarding that I wasn't into. And I always had a skateboard back then, but my group of people that I skated with, they all, disappeared.
Yeah.
They just stopped, skating. I'm sure they had their boards too, but it was just, of course we were older. What were we going to do? Go out on the streets and skate? And
there were no skate parks in that moment either.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, skateboarding didn't really come back to me till 2003.
Oh, interesting.
When Louisville got their concrete park, and then that's when I was like, okay, this is something I've never experienced. This kind of, it's okay. This is a place,
safe spot, right in those transitions.
Yes.
Like, you don't even have to do a trick. Just right in the concrete waves gives you a rush.
Yeah, exactly. So I have not seen. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, and I think that it's a perfect film. I don't like.
Okay, good.
I don't like Jonah Hill. I'm not a fan of him. But that being said, I knew kids that were hardcore skating in the 90s, and I always loved that skateboarding for my generation. It was about punk rock. It was about art. It was about expressionism.
Yeah.
And that was really a culture that was inspired by the John Hughes films, and not everyone was alternative yet. Like Lollapalooza hadn't set off. Vans Warped Tour wasn't a thing. Hot Topic wasn't in a store. It was like being different was literally being different, and you'd find your little cluster of people, and if you went to the mall and you saw a girl that had checkerboard Vans on, you'd go up to her and be like, hey, are you a skater? Are you into skating? Like, I see you're wearing Vision Streetwear high tops. Like all my older brother's a skateboarder. Oh, cool. Do you listen to the Smiths? It was like a way to meet somebody that was in your tribe. In the 90s, gangster rap explodes. Skateboarding nucleus, the eye of the hurricane, was always Southern California. So gangster rap explodes. Skateboarding gets really thugged out. The pants get big. Everybody's drinking 40s. Violence and fighting becomes prominent. And it just kind of pivoted. All of the artwork was anti-artwork on the decks. Like, it was a different moment. But that being said, loving the sport, you kind of love all of the cycles that it goes through because you have a nostalgia, and it is perfectly made in that moment. Question for you, Jim.
Yes.
When you're skateboarding now at this age, and you still go to the park often, I know, do you listen to music while you skate? Do you listen to nothing? Is it just sort of a moment to clear the head?
I don't listen to. We used to take a jam box.
Yeah. Boom box, baby.
Or now like a Bluetooth speaker and play music.
Yeah.
But we haven't done that lately. So no, I don't listen to headphones. Like, I need to listen to me skate.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
Like, I like those sounds. Plus, I'm with my buddies and we're talking. And, and so it's very like a social thing. So
I have so many songs in my iTunes that were ripped from skate videos where it's like, I'm listening to this song, I'm like, I love this song, but I can also hear in the background, I'm like, that's Matt Hensley going up a mini ramp and doing a fucking kick flip and then a grab and then going back down. I just ripped it off of skate videos, so you can hear all the wheels and the coping hits and the tails hitting things like in the background, and I absolutely love it. And after I watched Mid-90s, I went to Mid-90s by myself. Beth was down in Palm Springs on a work trip with her girlfriend. So I go by myself. And after I walked out of the theater, I was wearing my Bones Brigade hooded sweatshirt. And I just felt proud of that sweatshirt. And I got to my car and I pulled out my iPhone and I put on that McRad song from Public Domain when Ray Barbier and Chet Thomas and Steve Saez and there's one other one. You know that black and white scene where they're just ripping it out to that McRad song? Yeah. And I drove my car home with that McRad song playing as loud as I could. And then when I got home, I got up my skateboard. It was about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I did a couple of like downhill bombs and just, it felt good to be alive, man.
I need to see it. I plan on seeing it. I don't know when that'll be.
Yeah.
Will I wait till Netflix or go to the theater? But I mean, I will definitely see it.
Would you say that I'm gonna bring up religion, but like in a different way?
Okay.
Would you say that rock and roll was a religion of yours your whole life, and is it still a second religion that you believe in? That like the spirit of rock and roll and the rebelliousness of it and the history, like is that still a religion to you?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, everything's connected. Like it wouldn't be. It's all one big story that's still being told.
Right.
I would not be. I believe people are where they're. I believe everybody's where they're supposed to be.
Do you still listen to new music, or do you just kind of listen to the hits?
Oh no, I listen to. I have like a playlist on what is that, Spotify?
Yeah.
That I just add songs to. So I'm pretty. Like I'm trying to think of I listen to all kinds of music, and I think I'm okay current on stuff.
Yeah.
Just because like every Monday is Discovery Weekly on Spotify.
So you go through and you find new stuff that you like and you throw it in your master playlist.
Yes, I throw it into my Cut, Paste, Destroy playlist that I post on my Instagram every so often, and people can link to follow. I think there might be 80 followers on there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll open up some open playlists, like public playlists, so people will put stuff on there. And I have some people that we trade playlists, like trade Discovery Weeklies with. So I stay, I guess, pretty current.
Isn't it insane how technology has made it easier than ever to really be a supporter and an ambassador and a lover of the arts? Like, it's so easy now to find new music, new artists, new novels, new movies. Like, we're all so connected that to me, it seems insane that you and I, coming where we come from, somehow wandered into a bike shop that had 3 skateboards in the corner, and we're like, what's this Bones Brigade thing? Like, these skulls look so rad. I don't know what it is, but this Tommy Guerrero dagger on fire, I need more of this in my life. Like, it used to be so hard, and I don't want to be like the old guy, like, we had it better, but it's great now that you could literally just send me over a song and be like, you got to listen to this. And I could just be sitting here working and listen to it and not be like, I wonder what 7 inches Jim went out and bought today. Like, it's insane how easy it is to find art and passion these days.
I love it. I constantly am looking at Instagram and telling Anna, that's my wife, telling Anna, it is a beautiful, wonderful. There are so many talented people out there.
Really is. And
you just go on Instagram and just, I mean, every day it's somebody doing something incredible.
Right.
And sometimes you can talk to that person and they can see your stuff. And so, yes, it is. I'm not going to say it's better now than it was then, but
it's different.
That was then and this is now. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're one of the guys that I really respect, that you've really adopted technology. You're constantly on Instagram. I monitor you. I keep tabs on you. You're always meeting internet buds and guys that have listened to the show and people that look up to you through posters, and like you got your own scene going on and you're always sharing music and you're over on stories, like trying to show people like, hey, this is how I do what I do. Like, you've really, really leaned into it. And I see from you a genuine enjoyment of it all. Like, you've always been a friendly guy. You spent a lot of your life in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which isn't the most populated part of the world. And so I just see you using it as a window to just be like, I've got so many buds in my life now. So many buds that love all the same things that I love.
Man, I love it. And even like going back to the Circle of Trust.
Doc Reed.
Yes.
The doctor. I love that redhead son of a bitch.
Man, he's awesome. You know, like we hung out. He came to Bowling Green. We hung out for like two days, man. It was incredible. You know, it's because of the show, because of technology, because of our faith. Like he reached out to me whenever
Bricky's bullying you.
Yeah.
Come over
No,
here.
he never said-
Come
he
over
never
here. I got this beautiful pamphlet with Jesus and the black kid and the Asian kid and the little white girl and the lamb. You should read this. Don't let Bricky bully you.
It's so many good, like Justin Kamer, Angry Blue.
What a great guy.
We'll just like send stuff, send images. I embrace the technology.
Justin Kamer is the master of the meme. He will just go into Photoshop, make something so quick that is so brilliant and send it over to you. You're like, well, Justin wins again. I spend hours making a show trying to entertain people. He goes into Photoshop for 5 minutes and whoops my ass every time.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Jim,
but anyway,
as far as like art goes, do you find that you're evolving as an artist? Do you think that you are who you are and you'll always kind of be that same guy? Do you I know that you probably more so than ever you have new stories to tell, but do you find that your visual language is evolving and you're learning new words?
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. I also just finished, did work on a show. It was a joint show with a friend of mine. And so in that process, I did kind of go back to some things and more textures. And yeah, I feel like I am evolving.
Yeah.
But also I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
If that, you know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
I still have a sense of humor and like, me and Connie will see stuff, like, oh, look at this. And I feel like, I think I'm evolving very slowly. If that.
What does a guy like you think about the craze of enamel pens and patches? What do you think about, because, back in our day, a poster was affordable. We all figured out how to become printmakers, and we could just go out in the shop and we can make something. But it's pretty wild now that with an affordable cost, you can actually make like real little pieces of merchandise. Like I would think that you'd be a guy that would be loving pins and patches.
Okay, I love them. Now, as far as it's weird, and like, see, that's where Connie is really good at getting things manufactured and really good at like the patches and all that stuff. And I suffer from if I can't touch it.
Yeah.
If I can't make it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time not doing that. This, you know what I mean? So I'm paying something like when I like if I could make pins, I'd make all kinds of pins. Like if I had the stuff to make pins, I knew the process. I also feel like there's a disconnect from when I take the artwork and I send it off and then something comes back.
Yeah.
Now that's my personal thing. Now Connie thrives at that. And so like all the pins at Print Mafia and all that stuff was doing, like that's all Connie.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with that.
I do understand, though, that you're a lot like me, where why I always love printing is because I can make all the game time decisions.
Yes.
I can mix that orange a little bit brighter. I could dull down that black. I could decide that this needs to be taped off, or I could decide that it wasn't working and I needed to start over. But I do know the frustration of sending out an image and then you get back the merch from whomever and you're like, I wish I could have been at the plant to say, can we stamp that a little bit deeper, or can that be polished a little bit rougher? Like that's being an artisan.
Yeah.
When I got a semi-automatic press, we could print posters faster than ever, but I missed not being able to go, I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to pull a little bit harder in this top corner, but then I'm going to let go when I get down at the bottom because I don't want to blow out that type at the bottom, but I do want to get that hard right angle to print solid at the top. And when it was the robot doing it, I'm like, oh, robot, I can't tell you how to do that.
Yeah. But here's another thing that okay, so that's like the artisan in me and you. But Connie is also like an artisan in like her merchandise, her pins, her patches, her packaging that she did on that new Coulter Wall record.
Yeah.
She's an artisan at getting things done. That packaging, if it doesn't win a Grammy, there doesn't need to be any more Grammys ever. It's over. It's rigged.
Fake news.
I cried when I touched it. It's unreal. So there is an art to that. I'm not much of a communicator. I am going to try to get some stickers for the first time done where I'm not printing them myself.
JackPrince.com.
Through Andy Diesel, but I did the artwork.
Bleep it out. Bleep it out. Don't let it get out. JackPrince.com/Circle of Trust. You got to go over there, Jim. That's where you're getting your stickers at.
Hey, can I mail them an envelope with a photocopy in it? Will they be able to make me some stickers?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well,
Jim, I have a challenge for you.
Okay. Yes.
I want you to go around your print shop, and I want you to get a big flat file folder. You know those big paper flat folders that we put precious posters in? I want you to put one of those in the corner, and every time you see like a really good Jim Madison print destroyer texture, just slip it in the envelope. Slip it in. And then when you feel like you got enough in there, I want you to mail that to California, care of Mark Brickey, and I'm going to scan all of that in, and we're going to do a Circle of Trust, like small paid Jim Madison texture download. Because I want to see your dirt, your grime. Okay. I want to see that carry on into generations. And I want to look at a sick logo that one of our Circle of Trust members does for $1 million brand and be like, I recognize those cuts. That came from the print cabin. Can we make that together?
I'm actually been working on something like that. And the idea was,
then don't let me steal it for you. Then never mind. You do it on your own. Then I don't want to steal it from you.
No, because this is where it's been some serious growing pains without Connie.
Yeah, because she was your business end. She was your administrative person.
Yes. So me and Connie would come up with ideas, and then she could get those ideas done, and we had two people working on something.
Yes.
So if I did want to do a button or a pin or something like that, or a patch, I could go with it with Connie, and it would get done.
Yeah.
Right. Like we would work on it together, but I would take it, and she would make it happen. Okay, so I cut my finger cutting some letters out, and I mean I cut it, and I bled all over my original text sheet. And when I did, I just put it to the side, and then that blood dried, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to copy that. That is going to be an awesome texture.
Yeah.
So when I did that, and of course I told Connie that story, and I said, man, because she'll send me stuff. Oh look, I mean it is. I love that me and her. We still talk daily, but we speak the same language. Hey, look at this texture.
Yeah, yeah.
So I sent it to her. Oh man, this is from when I cut my finger. And I said, this is the original copy. This is the original blood copy. So it already has a title. It's called Original Blood.
I love it.
So
let it bleed.
I'm going to get it together.
Mail it out here.
We're going to do this.
Are you ready for our revenue split? You ready for this?
Yeah.
We're going to split the money.
All right.
55% to you.
All right.
45% to me. And you know why?
Why?
Because I know you're going to tithe 10% to the Lord. So therefore, you're at 45% and I'm at 45%. And JC's getting his 10. That's how we're going to work out the math on this, right? Let it tithe.
Yes.
And
I've been tithing too.
I'm going to put in the description 10% of all goes to Jesus.
Yeah. It does.
Kickstarter.com.
10% of my money goes to Jesus.
You got to tithe, baby. I remember I had Mike Jones on the show from Creative South, and he's a very, very huge Christian. Great guy, lovable man. And he told me this story where he goes, I prayed to God for an answer about my job. And then I got fired. And I took that as God had given me the sign that I wanted, that I wasn't supposed to work here. And then I started my own thing, and I ended up doing better. And I said, do you think that was a power move from God so you'd make more money? So he could get a bigger tithe, a bigger 10%. And he just put his head down laughing. He goes, what's the matter with you? Where do you come up with these things? What is the matter with you? And I made him laugh so hard. And I love those moments where it's like, look, man, I know enough about your world to have fun and bust balls.
Yeah.
So, Jim, as we wrap up our great conversation together, it's Thanksgiving. Uncle Jim came over. Is he talking about God again? Jesus, Uncle Jim. Mark, stop asking him questions. He's going to do it again. Uncle Jim, what are you thankful for this year? Thank you for listening to Adventures in Design podcast. To hear part 2 of today's episode, visit adventuresin.design. Click where it says Circle of Trust and help support the only daily talk show designed for creative professionals just like you. Thank you for listening. Good day and good design.